year ago to come to this, and we wouldn't miss it. And I have had so much fun here in Caribou and Presque Isle, and I've known a lot of the bloomers that are here. Before we get started, there was always 3 people on the team that we had at Caribou for the flight across the Atlantic Ocean. And if I need something done, like a left-handed monkey wrench or a violin, there were 3 people I could always call upon, and one of them would find it someplace, steal it or buy it or find it. Yeah. And one of them was Jerry Drake. And the other one was my wife, Sherry. And the last one was Brian Carlton. Brian, you shut my phone off.
You got that excited.
That's how important you are, Brian.
We'd like to have Brian lead us in pledge of allegiance. Everybody please stand up. Nobody can take a knee, by the way.
Unless you want to pray.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
You know, we live in such a wonderful country. We should always pay respect to that flag, because we are here as a free society because of the devotion to that flag and the soldiers and the servicemen who've given their lives that we've had. You know, there's been over 1 million Americans have died in combat, which is a lot of folks. So we should respect this flag. And everybody, please quit watching the NFL so the television can start getting I had so much fun on this flight across the Atlantic Ocean. Ed Yost got in his van one day with a couple of other guys and went out looking for a place to launch the balloon. And after about 6 hours, he came back and he said, I found the perfect place. It's the perfect place to launch the balloon. And that's where we launched our balloon from. Fred located that place. And we're out there inflating the balloon, and all of a sudden a kid walks up to me and he said, he needs you on the telephone up at that farm up at the house at the hill. So I said, okay. So I went up there to the telephone, and it's the president of the meteorological company that was doing the forecasting for my flight across the Atlantic Ocean. And this guy said, this is Don Phillips, the CEO of Weather Services. I said, yes sir, I've met you about 10 times. He said, well, we have to tell you that we're going to cancel the flight because the weather is going to be too bad, and we can't guarantee your safety. I said, sir, I've been working with Bob Rice. I've never talked with you about the flight, and I like to talk with Bob Rice. So Bob Rice gets on the phone. I said, Bob, we talked all day yesterday and today about the weather. He said, well, it's a little risky, but we can. That's enough for me. So I got his boss back on the phone, and I said, sir, we're going to hell. And everything that Bob Rice told me to do, I did, and he got me across that ocean. And I had a great team of people. You know that to do a project like this, it takes 3 things. It takes faith in your team, faith in the equipment, and faith in yourself. And I had a great team of people that were working so I could get safely across the Atlantic Ocean. It was an exciting flight, and I had to share a couple of things with you, 2 things. I studied to a great length about food I was going to have. And I decided I was going to have some really exotic stuff. Quail, pheasant, caribou, you name it, whatever it was. And it was dehydrated. All you had to do was heat up with some water, hot water, and it would be great. And I had the most exotic menu all planned the whole flight. So the first morning, out of the ocean the next day, and by this time I'm getting hungry. So I lit the stove, and the stove caught on fire. And I threw it into the ocean. And there went all of my gallant plans for good food. And I ended up eating 4 cans of frozen spaghetti on the flight. The other thing that was amazing was I never talked with anybody while I was flying. Of course, we didn't have a GPS in those days. I had a Sextant. I knew how to use it, but there was always clouds. You can't shoot a sunspot without clouds. So I knew I was in the Atlantic Ocean. And the weather was forecast for about 70 miles an hour in some places. And I followed the exact trajectory that Bob Rice gave me. And the second night, about 3 o'clock in the morning, I kind of ran out of things to do. So I went on to 121.5 emergency frequency. And I said, this is balloon 1, 2, 3, 4. Anybody read me? And the TWA came on the flight and said, yeah, TWA 101. I said, well, let's go to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we went over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I called the guy. I said, can you, where are you? He said, I'm about 400 miles out from London, so I can let down. He said, where are you? I said, hell, I don't know. The guy said, let me tell you, first of all, there's over 400 flights a day that flies the Atlantic. Every day there's 400 flights, some days more. That was the only airplane that I called during the flight. And the guy says to me, your flight crew is on board my airplane. Sherry and Bob Snow were on that exact airplane. And they brought them up when I talked to them. And it gives me goosebumps when I think about it. The sequence of events that just happened. It was great fun talking to Sherry at 4 o'clock in the morning. Finally, the captain came on the radio and said, well, I got to shut down. I'm getting ready to land at Heathrow, so good to have a good trip. But it was a good flight. We set some world records. All of them are still world records. We flew a long ways, and I couldn't go any further. I'd gone as far as I could go. Bob Rice told me that the way the weather pattern was, that when I started hooking to the north, that the pressure system was such that I was not going to go any further to the east, the Great Circle Route. And I was there to beat Ben Rousseau and Matthew Anderson's record. So I had to keep going because they went 3,200 miles. I went 3,600 miles and beat the hell out of their record. But it was a great fun flight. It's 86 hours. And all of a sudden, about General, I started hanging to the right. And I knew that was the end of my flight. I couldn't go any further, more to the east. And there was a big thunderstorm going up to 100,000 feet in front of me, about 20 miles. The mountains were 12,000 feet. I didn't have enough ballast to go any higher. So it was prudent that I landed. So I came in about 30 miles an hour wind. Sherry was there with the National Geographic helicopter and with a photographer. And I went into the trees at about 30 miles an hour. I had no choice but to do that. And I had my drag rope out, but I still hit pretty hard. And I hit a tree and I fell out of the gondola. And I hit the only rock within 5 miles. and busted my foot. Well, Sherry jumped out of the chopper, came running up there with 2 bottles of champagne. And I put one on my head, which is tradition, as you know. And we drank the other one. And all of a sudden, my leg was really starting to hurt. So I turned to Sherry and I said, honey, I need to get to the hospital. My leg is in pretty bad shape. So she turns to these, when I landed, there were 7 Italian woodcutters chopping down trees where I landed. 7 of them. You imagine, they were chopping down trees and balloon bands right in front of me. I got a pretty girl with 2 bottles of champagne. They talked to me and picked me up and took me down to the thing. I have a book. How many of you here have read my book? A few. Not very many. But this is the book. It's called Come and Get Me. And it's about my flight across the Atlantic, all the other adventures that I've had. And there's no sex in the book. But we're going to auction this off this evening, and the proceeds will go to the Boy Scouts at Presque Isle. So it'll be for us, it gets for a good reason. So I'm going to make the first bid at $40, and I'll sign it. Whoever wins it, I'll sign their name and so forth. So who's going to go higher than $40?
I'll go 50.
50, that's 50.
Kenny, you want me to auction?
Randy's an auctioneer.
Give me $10.
Yeah.
Give me $10.
What do you got?
We got 60. I think.
Where you at?
60.
60.
Who's sure?
All right, I got 60 now. Who give me 70? 70, 70, 70, 70, 80, 80, 80, 80, 80, 80, 80, 80, 80, 90, 90, 90, 90, now 100, 100, 100, now 110, 10, 10, 110, now 120, 120, now 130, 130. Look at me, don't look at him. 130, now 140. 140, 40, you want 140, 140, now 150, 50, 50, you don't want 150. 50, 50, 50, 150, you don't want 150. Get it one time. Y'all put your money together. 150. Boy Scouts, think about that. 150, 50, 50, 150, you can pass it around, read it, and then give it to somebody else. 100, 100, you want 100, have it, 100, you want 100, 100,
Hold it. Will they take the charge?
100 now, 160.
What did he say? What did he say?
Will you take a charge
It
card?
ain't what he said, it's what I said, 160.
I need to know how to pay for this thing, so what did he say?
160.
Will they take a charge card?
Oh yeah, we take a card?
Yeah.
All right.
160 now, 170, 170, 170. You started it. 170, 170, 170, 170, 170, 170, 180, 80, 80, 180. Don't worry about 180, 190, 190, you want
For the Boy
190?
Scouts, for the Boy Scouts.
$200.
Now 210, 210, 10, 10, 210. Come on, look at me, Steve. 210, 10, 10, 210. I tell you what, it's 200, it's 210. I'm gonna loan you $10. 210 now, 220, 20, 220, 220, 220, 220.
215.
Now 220, 20, 20, 220, 20, 200.
250.
I got 200 and a half, now 275. Price of eggs in Georgia just went up.
I'm gonna give it to you anyway.
Oh, okay, never mind.
You got 200 and a half, now 260.
255.
260.
Don't do it, Steve.
Hey, that's what makes it
Steve,
fun.
do it.
260, 260, you want 260? Still $5, and I'll loan that to you.
Come on.
260,
You're gonna give me the last 5.
I'll
give you the last 5, Steve.
I got 260 now, 265, I'm buying 265. 265?
No. It's so good.
No, it ain't over yet.
Kenny's back. Holy cow.
I got 260 now, 265. Anybody want 265?
260.
Who's at
Kenny's
260?
at 260, right? You're at
No.
265. Don't worry about that.
I did better.
Have you got 265?
I one time I did.
265. Going once.
265.
265 twice.
260.
Sold to Kenny Shoemate for $260.
Hey, hey.
Good job.
Cash.
You said you'd take a charge, right?
I will take it, but he won't.
I want to thank everybody for being here. I really appreciate it. I appreciate what Joe's done. And Steve has done a lot for the balloonists. And once Joe signs this book belongs to Steve. God, how am I going to tell my wife?
Hey,
That's the hard part.
hey, Kenny.
Can I give it the
Facebook
check to
Live.
you or the? Thank you very much. Now, we have a little some entertainment. But later on, I got one story to tell you about Kenny, but I want to wait on that one first. There's a song that was written, and I'd like to have you turn the floor over to you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. My name is Tom Burby, and I'm from Aroostook County. How many of you are from Aroostook County? Okay. So, I wrote a song many years ago. I actually wrote the song for Joe the very year he was that he went over, and I was sitting in my college classroom. I was taking a course called Educational Psychology, which I've never used at all. And my father had called me and said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm getting educated." "Why?" And he said, "Well, you won't believe what's happening in your backyard." And I said, "What possibly could be happening in the backyard in Caribou, Maine that anyone would care about, let alone," and what was it, a moose? And he said, "No, Joe Kittinger just took off, and he's going to cross the Atlantic by himself." And I said, "Well, why didn't you tell me this beforehand? I'd have been there." So I was sitting in the classroom, not listening to the professor, and thinking about Joe. And I didn't know Joe. I just knew about him. And that's the thing. When you have a hero, you know about them. You don't know them. And it occurred to me, I was sitting there and I was, of all things, trying to write a song because this thing helped me find my wife and it helped me get a job, and I had a great time in college playing guitar and very little fun learning anything. But I was thinking, what would it be like to be in a balloon, and what would it be like to be alone, ultimately alone, over such a vast area? All the explorers in history look at that ocean, and it's a killer, it's dangerous, and he's up there by himself. And I'm thinking, what will happen? What will the world think if he makes it? And then I stopped and I said, wait a minute. You're not thinking about this the right way, boy. This is Joe Kittinger. What are the people going to think when he makes it? And so I wrote this song, word for word, and then, decades later I met Joe and got to sing it for him. And now I'd like to share it with you. And it's called The Ballad of the Rosie O'Grady. She fell from the sky, from a voyage they said, you never make it a dream. From the mainland of the States to the foothills of the Alps, with the cold blue Atlantic in between. But despite inclement weather, and despite the doubt and pain, he rode the wind and touched the earth again. And all those who called him crazy will have to think again on the Rosie O'Grady. day and night, from shore to shore and farther from our sight. And all those who called him crazy will have to think again on the rosy old Grady and the wind. And the rosy old Grady sails the morn far to the lands you dream of, in the lands where you were born. And like the dreams within your grasp, and all the deeds you do, until you take some chances, you got nothing left to lose. I too have dreamed of doing things both great and never done. But too often have I waited, and less often have I won. And there's few examples in this world to follow as a man. And you dream of weekend holidays, do the best you can. But still there are some who take the chances, and never looking back, they dream their dreams and make their dreams come true. And if you're one whose dreams get lost in the shuffle we call life, then the rosy old Grady flies for you. And the rosy old Grady sails the morn far to the lands you dream of, in the lands where you were born. And like the dreams within your grasp, and all the deeds you do, until you take some chances, you got nothing left to lose. And the rosy old Grady sails the morn far to the lands you dream of, in the lands where you were born. And like the dreams within your grasp, and all the deeds you do, until you take some chances, you got nothing left to lose.
If everybody's in class, I want to pose two toasts. First of all, today it's Betty Drake's birthday, and tomorrow it's Sherry's. So let's all have a toast to these two beautiful women.
Absolutely.
Here, here.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna let you turn over for the exotic food.
We're gonna get the cakes ready, so, if Kenny will help me light the candles.
Uh-oh.